Hi guys, this is Omri from Bali Business Club. So today we are in beautiful Bali beach glamping in Kedungu, on the outskirts of Kedungu. We are going to meet with Roger Michel, who is partner as well as GM of that beautiful resort. He's going to tell us the whole story behind that resort, how they started, how they are managing it, the business behind it, how it fits in the Kedungu area. Very happy to be here today. It's a beautiful day. Please follow me and let's meet Roger. How are you? Thank you. How do you do?
Good.
Good to see you. So, well, thank you very much for having us today in the glamping with you.
It's an honor.
So you are the general manager of the Bali Beach Glamping.
Managing director, yes. Right. Yeah.
Managing director, sorry, yeah. Oh, you told me to, yeah? We come here today to understand better what is the glamping. A lot of people have heard about it. Not so many people actually have come, except for like the guests. And everyone has questions. I think what's interesting here is to see this beautiful place first of all, and to show it to more eyeballs, yeah. But also to understand how this business came to life, what's your role in it, the whole situation in Kedungu, like how does this business fit in the Kedungu development, and some other stories you may have. So perhaps what we can start with is a quick introduction of yourself. If you can tell us a little bit about you. I mean, I know your name, you're Roger, and I know you work here. But like, maybe can you tell us like what you've done in the past? What's road led you to come to Bali and work in this resort?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. My name is Roger Michel. I'm the managing director here at Bali Beach Glamping. Me and two business partners decided about 5 years ago was the conception of this idea of having a glamping next to Villa Vedas. Villa Vedas is one of the most popular wedding villas.
It's a beautiful villa right behind, yeah?
Yes. And they had lots of weddings booked, and the idea was to have accommodations for those wedding guests.
So Villa Vedas is owned by one of your partners.
I'm one of my partners.
His name is?
Tim Robbins.
Tim, yeah, okay.
And then we started conceptualizing this project, and then we very quickly realized it's such a beautiful piece of land that we would try to do our own event. And so this all came to fruition.
So how long was Villa Vedas built for? What year?
Been around for about almost 10 years.
10 years, wow, okay.
So operational maybe for 6-7 years that way.
Okay. Because Bali Beach Glamping is 4 years old, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had Villa Vedas, Tim had Villa Vedas and decided to expand in some ways.
There was a very large wedding market, and it was growing only more as Australia is becoming more and more expensive. Our target market is usually Australian. They can all fly to Bali and have a cheaper wedding and much more options.
Okay.
And opposite Bali is very, very beautiful for a wedding.
Because so everyone understand, you have around 50 tents, I believe.
50 tents, yes.
Actually, I slept in this one. Oh, not the family one, this one, I think.
Yes, yeah.
And you rent either to guests, like, people can book on booking.com and other OTAs, or the whole venue to wedding, where...
So the concept is really, so if you wanted to book for your family right now, let's say next April or June or September, everything is blocked. There's no way to book an individual tent because we really focus on having weddings. So we hold about 100 to 110 weddings and events here per year.
Wow.
And then 4 months before the event date, we start opening all the gaps. Yeah. So if there's a 1 night or 2 night or 3 night gap, and there's really only gaps. There's not that we've had people ask if they could come here for 2 weeks, and if they're lucky, they could get 1 or 2 nights. So it's really fully focused on the wedding market, and not just wedding. I mean, we have there's an event coming up here. Yes, and we also do a lot of mice in the off season. And birthday parties. We've had Maya Hassan, which is a very famous Indonesian harpist.
Yeah.
And she had a 50th birthday party that's equivalent to what a wedding would be like.
Ah, okay, big one.
Big
Okay.
parties. We've had Lamborghinis pull up here before, and
Really?
and yes.
How can they can drive that road?
They use the Ciputra road on the one that's going to go to the beach club.
The location, so right now, so we are just near the beach, we're going to see the ocean in a minute, and that land belongs to Ciputra Group, correct?
All of this, there's 80 hectare here on the beach, all the way up to the road, belongs to Ciputra. So we were their first business collaboration here on this land, and it's been so successful that we are now already working on two other projects.
So that's the beach club?
Correct, the beach club, and
you're
also building villas to operate on their newest property.
Not right behind here, just the beach.
It's up the hill, like 500 meters up the hill.
Okay, interesting. So, and the beach club is on the eastern parts.
Correct, yeah.
The beach glamping, yeah? Okay. Villa Vedas was here before Ciputra or at the same time?
Yes, Villa Vedas was here before Ciputra bought the land. That's why when you look at the 80 hectare plot, there is only a few gaps, and Villa Vedas was one of them. That I think him got the land about a little bit over 15 years ago.
Interesting. Okay. And Ciputra is, so let's remind everyone of who Ciputra is. So Ciputra is I'll start saying it and then you take over. So it's a very, very large Indonesian conglomerate. It's a massive group of companies. They have banks, they have real estate. They build cities. They don't build a bunch of villas. They build cities.
Correct. I think the bank is synonymous, but Ciputra, it's a family-run company, but it is one of, if not the largest land developer
in Indonesia.
In Indonesia, yes. They own the entire.
So their project here, from the information that we have, they have a plan to build 400 villas. There's probably around maybe 80, 100 already built.
Yes, I think now it's a bit over 100 already.
Over 100, yeah, okay. And I saw when I drove back this morning that they started a new
phase
cluster of villas. What's the name?
Resvara.
Resvara, yeah. Just like between here and Joshua District, where there's probably going to be another 50 or 80 villas there.
Yeah. And you can see here they built very wide roads. They have an amazing master plan similar to Milano, where really everything is thought of before massive development.
Yeah, this is what I love about this area is you drive here and you're like on your usual Balinese tiny road with traffic and too many cars for the size of the road, and you arrive here and suddenly there's this massive highway.
Yes, you can park left and right side of the road and you still have, you still have space to.
Yeah, it's been thought, That's what I like about this place, yeah. Okay, interesting. And so beside the villas, what I heard about Rosewood Hotel, I heard about different developments that are happening around the Ciputra area or in the Ciputra area.
That's not been confirmed yet, but yes, I think they're in discussion about having a Rosewood hotel here as well.
Yeah. There was Ritz-Carlton. I think they withdrew during COVID or something, and Rosewood is still in the race. Yeah. All right. Okay. So we've stayed too long here. Let's discover the rest of the resort. Yeah. Maybe you can take us to the restaurant area, so we are nearby the ocean.
Right. It's good. We're on the beach. Yeah. All right. So, Roger, where are we now? We are on at the restaurants, in the restaurant parts. We are at the swimming pool near the beach. And there's a few ways. I see some surfers. There were some surfers.
Yes, correct. It's
it's
a fairly popular surf beach. It's got what they call an A-frame, what professional surfers call an A-frame. It's got a left and a right surf break at the same time. So people who surf left or right can come here together and surf. So that's quite popular. And also for schools, if they don't know yet what they prefer. They tend to come out here, and then they can also come to the restaurant and have some coffee. And
So this is Pigstone, right?
Pigstone is right over there, probably 200 meters, and this one would be called Tampi Beach.
Tampi Beach. Okay, so that's Tampi surf break.
Yeah, that's Tampi surf
And you
break.
talk about it like you're using it every morning.
Yeah, I
do you
not.
surf?
I surf. Actually, at the moment, I surf in Kedungu every weekend.
Oh, do you?
Because my son just started
Okay.
surfing. He's 5.5, and he's doing really, really well, and he's really enjoying it. So I'm out there on the surfboard, more supporting him. I cannot say that I'm a good surfer, but I can surf a bit. So,
But the Kedungu, at Kedungu Beach, so like maybe 500 meters from here, is known for being a beginner's surf break,
correct.
right?
That's why it's great for him. It's very safe, but there is also a little bit further to the what is it, west side? It's also to the east side. It's also a more challenging surf break. So Kedungu has a little bit of everything. That's why it's very popular. And I've seen this in 4 years, from there was 1, 2, 3 surfers to 50, 100, 150 surfers easily. It's grown massively.
Yeah, it's grown. Yeah, we installed a camera. That surf camera. So maybe we can put the name here. It's called. There's a website called ilovekedungu.com, and you can basically see the surf break of Kedungu live from the CCTV camera that we installed. It was sponsored by the Kedungu Fund and Kedungu Real Estate. Surf is very important, and we've mentioned surf multiple times in our previous podcasts, because surf kind of like creates. Surfers are the first to come to an area. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's more than anyone else. And Kedungu and Tampi and Old Pigstone, all these places were absolutely unknown from the Gen Pop. Except for surfers, who are the only category of people that don't care about comfort, are ready to travel miles to get to the surf break, and they are the first one that discover new areas in Indonesia. And
absolutely.
That's very interesting to mention them as well. Okay, let's talk about business a little bit. I'd like to know a little bit more about the character. Who is Roger Michel? Can you tell us like where you're born, where you raised, where do you live before, how long you been in Bali, how many kids you have, how many dogs you have? No, we don't care about dogs, but a little bit more about you, yeah? In a nutshell, in 2 minutes sales pitch.
Sure. So I was born in 1972 in Switzerland, in near Zug. I then
German side,
German side. Yeah, I then grew up there until I went traveling at age 18, and I didn't have to go to the Swiss military, which was an exception at the time, and that really led to a cascade of fortunate events that brought me here.
Yeah.
And it basically was that instead of going to the military, I was able to work the summer, make money, and do my first Ural trip. And I discovered traveling, and I was completely hooked. And then also very, very early fell in love with a girl from America, and basically at age 20 moved to the United States.
There you go.
And got married at age 20.
Okay.
So I then spent about 20 just about 20 years in the US.
So you were where in the US were you located?
Seattle,
okay.
and also
You lived in the
San
Bay
Francisco
for a while, yeah?
area.
In San Francisco, okay.
So I lived out of the 20 years, I lived 18 years in Seattle and 2 years in the Bay Area in near San Francisco.
What did you do there?
I was an engineer, so I studied material science. I became a contract researcher, and in the Bay Area, I actually worked for a company that supplied measurement tools for Apple, for some of the big solar companies and implant tech companies, and and then during just before the big crash in 2008, I decided to start a sports events management company.
Yep.
And moved back from the Bay Area to Seattle, and basically my coworkers, my family, my former professors all thought I was nuts to leave the comfort of a job for the unknown of running your own business, especially during the one of the worst economic crises that we have ever seen.
Sure.
And
I've heard that before.
And
so.
it turned out to be a huge success. So I ran that sports events management company for about 7 years before landing in Bali for a 2-month trip to kind of.
So what year was that when you first came to Bali?
2014.
2014,
October
so like 10 years ago.
2014, exactly 10 years ago.
Okay.
Could be to this day. I have to look up the date.
Yeah.
And so then I within a month of my 2-month trip here, I decided again just do something that everybody else will think is absolutely crazy and just stay here and run the business remotely. So I offered my employees a pay raise.
2014 was not an easy time to run a business remotely. Internet was, I remember I had a tech startup in Bali back in the day, and internet was very, very complicated.
I lived north of Ubud. Internet was slow. It was unreliable.
Yeah, for sure.
So we did that for 3 years until I offered my employees to buy the company.
Yeah.
They bought the company, and it's still running very successfully now. So that sports events management company, I left that behind, and I just sort of I took a few years to just kind of find myself in Bali, I guess, so to say, a little bit of eat, pray, love, man style.
Oh my God!
And then started realizing there's some good opportunities here. Started a villa management company, and then because of that.
Just sorry not to cut you off, but you are a managing partner of the beach glamping, Bali Beach Glamping, but you also have on the side a villa management company called Kai
Listings Bali.
Listings Bali.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that actually led to this project. So because that was the first business I started. Through that, I met my business partner, Tim, who I managed villas for. And then he proposed to me this big project of having a glamping resort next to his wedding villa.
Tim is the owner of Villa Vedas, right next door, this massive venue for weddings.
Villa. It's the biggest and most successful wedding villa in Bali and possibly in the world. There really isn't anything like it. There's 3 pools. There's a 40-meter pool. There's a sky pool, and it's really geared towards weddings. And then what we basically did was created this here with the same concept, geared towards weddings. Yeah. And we found that it works really well, not just for the Australian market, but for the Indonesian market as well.
Let's go back in time a little bit. So you met Tim, and then you have another partner, right?
Correct. So Russell Percival, the third business partner.
Where are Tim and Russell located?
Tim's located here in Bali, and Russell was at the time, and now he's running a project that we also started in Perth in Australia. We have a land beachfront in Perth where we're building a glamping resort in the same style.
Glamping number 3, yeah?
Glamping number 3.
So this is number 1. You have Beach Nusa number 2, and Perth is number 3. Yeah.
So in Nusa Dua, we'll get
back to that in a moment. Sure. So let's go back a little bit on the inception of the project. So you guys. So I guess the idea came from Tim because he had this villa right here, yeah? So Tim got this crazy idea, but he didn't own the land. So he went to knock on Chiputra's door and ask, hey, how about you guys give me some land here and I'll make great money out of it.
I will say we thought we had a 1%
chance of this happening,
yeah. And there were some, I would say there were also some fortunate reasons why Chiputra decided to give this a try, because they had a deal that fell through with one of the big hotel companies.
Yeah.
They were eager to get something started, and glamping has a very low bar to enter the hotel market, right? It's not a lot of investment compared to a big 5-star hotel. And they were curious, where, they decided to offer us a relatively short-term lease, a bit too short for our taste, but we decided to give this a shot with a shorter lease. And then within the course of a few years, they decided that this project was definitely worth seeing through for a longer term. And we've meanwhile
you extended that period,
lease.
yeah? Okay. And so how many tents do you have?
50 tents.
50 tents, yeah? And so do you have like different size, like it's for families, yeah?
Correct. So we have 3 tent types. We have a 14 square meter, a really small tent that's more for single, for backpackers, for couples that don't need a lot of comfort. But I will say that they all tents have aircon, all tents have private bathroom, all tents have king coil, king size beds, so very, very comfortable beds. So it's, when I say not a lot of comfort, obviously compared to camping, it's a huge upgrade, but we also have bigger tents. We have bigger tents with more amenities. We have also 25 square meter and a 40 square meter.
So the one I stayed in, the family tent, is the biggest one you have?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And, okay. Those tents are made by Escape Nomad?
Yes,
Is that correct? That's a company, a Dutch-owned company in Ubud, yeah?
Swiss. Dutch and
Swiss, yeah?
So, yes.
Yeah, I remember the lady was called
Anneke,
and the Swiss guy is Uli. Yeah, exactly. I've met him as well. I've met both of them actually a long time ago. It's very, they're very well made. It's very,
they're very well made.
They're not cheap.
They're not cheap. They're very well made, and we found that it is key to our success. So glamping number 2 and glamping number 3 that glamping number 2 is already operational. It's doing really well in Nusa Dua. Glamping number 3 in Australia, we have chosen the same concept because it's doing so well.
Okay. Yeah. How big is the area?
1.5 hectares.
The whole glamping place. Okay. Yeah. And the beach club next door.
So that will be
what kind of beach club is it? Is it like a potato head or fins?
More. I mean, if I think about it in terms of the beach clubs that are pre-existing, we're trying to be unique. So again, we're trying to do something that doesn't exist yet. So I would say more day club, because with the glamping nearby and a lot of development happening, we want to make sure that we are not cause of noise complaints. Especially since we have a glamping, which is not extremely sound resistant, obviously. So we're going to focus more on day, and then also some events probably, but then
no loud music.
But if we do, then people from the events would be here staying at the glamping, so they're
okay. Yeah,
but that will just
like
be
the weddings. Yeah,
correct. But that will just be like once a month or.
So is the beach club going to complain about the wedding music?
No, it's just the same. And we do have a sound wall in between. So we already have a design for a sound wall, and there's actually a reasonable amount of space until the beach club starts. So, and with the ocean sounds, as you can hear here, it's, we really don't believe there will be any issues. We've worked closely with the neighbors since we put on so many weddings. And I will say that we have a very good relationship with all neighbors. So they can immediately text us or call us if they feel like the music is inconveniencing them.
They will.
It's led to a good relationship. So, no, I mean, we've had now over 250 weddings since this opened. And the fact that we still have a very good relationship with the neighbors should say that we take this seriously.
Okay. That's good, because, noise is a major factor in the change of landscape in an area from residential to commercial only or touristy only. If you look at, for example, the Brawa area where Fins and Atlas, I remember like before Atlas was there were villas there, imagine now having a villa right next to Atlas. I mean, this is insane. Actually, there is one. If you go to the very end of Atlas, if you go inside and you look beyond the fence, there's this massive half abandoned villa right next to Atlas. And you can tell, you look at it, you can tell that villa was the victim of the Atlas Beach Club. It was probably had its years of glory, and now it's half abandoned. And it's probably like around half a hectare villa or something. So beach clubs, unfortunately, along the coast from the airport to Perenan or to Pantai Lima, they are the main problem for residents, for residential anyway areas. So noise is very important. It's great that I think a lot of people have heard. I'm emphasizing on this because a lot of people have heard about the beach club being built, but I think it's important to tell the world that it's not going to be a boom 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 place like Fins or Atlas or.
I think
whatever,
if some people might be dubious to believe this, I would like to argue we would be the worst complainer of noise, we ourselves, as Bali Beach Glamping.
Exactly.
If we have a big noise here every day, this is our heart and soul. This was our first resort. And so we will make sure that this...
it wouldn't make sense for you to have the beach club next to the place that's, you make money from.
Yeah.
Where did financing come from? You raised money or...
Yeah, so this basically I've heard this one before and had to chuckle. I'm glad I can use it once. It's called the 3 Fs: friends, family, and other fools. So,
I know that.
So
the crazy believers.
It was self-financed. We were 3 main business partners. As I said, I had that sports events management company. I sold it. I invested here with my 2 business partners, and we had a few other friends, and particularly one very random person who had booked a wedding in the villa next door, and they were just very intrigued, and so it was about 6 of us that started
6.
this.
Okay. So 6 initial financial partners, financiers, but 3 managing partners.
Correct.
So you still have the 6, or is only the 3 now?
No, it's a bit more than 6. There is a few. We did an expansion. I think I haven't told you that yet, but we originally started with 40 tents, and we didn't have Hemingway Lounge and the Yoga Shala, and so we financed the expansion, and we added a few more.
So like currently in the business, in terms of equity, there's only 3 people, or there's more?
No, that's so. In terms of equity, there's about 10
people.
10 people.
Okay.
But that's one of the advantages of the 3 Fs. If you have friends, if you have friends and family that invest, it's a lot easier to handle. So we've never had any issues.
Initial price tag.
Initial
price tag on this to get started?
About, I think initial was about $2 million.
$2 million, to get started.
We added another $1 million or so in the for the expansion. So.
How long did the business take to be profitable?
Well, actually, it was relatively quickly. So we did we did build through the pandemic, and then we opened in the pandemic. So obviously before Java opened to Bali for travels, it was not profitable. But then once Java opened, it was sort of very lucky that the Indonesians really like glamping, and Jakarta was close to so many things. So we had for the pandemic with very high occupancy rates, and people came here planning to stay here for 2 or 3 days and ended up staying for 10 days. Their kids were doing homeschool. They were able to do this from here. And instead of being in Jakarta on lockdown, they had a lot more,
it's more agreeable.
And obviously this was very favorable during the pandemic because of the virus. Being outdoors was a lot safer than being indoors. So we were profitable within, I would say, 6 months. So
wow, amazing.
So,
I want to say business. I'm in the wrong business.
No, and I mean, unfortunately, at that time, obviously, we were not allowed to have weddings. But also, we sold a lot of weddings for after the pandemic ended, and so So we also had that certainty that things were going to really pick up once
Things go
Bali
back to normal,
opened. And when it did, there was such a vacuum of people wanting to get married that the wedding market really exploded because they couldn't get married for about a year.
They all had kids during the pandemic, you know, so it's okay, let's do something about
Let's do something. Let's get married now. So yeah, exactly. So that was good.
Okay. And so you have this one Nusa Beach Nusa, so in Nusa Dua, just open. How big is the place?
About 2 hectares.
2 hectares, so tiny, slightly bigger than here.
Yeah.
Which is 1.5. How many tents do you have there?
40 tents. So it's
more spacious.
It's more spacious. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And you are on
much
the
bigger
cliff,
pool,
amazing
much
view.
bigger koi pond, much bigger restaurant. Everything was scaled up.
Okay. And
so
you intend to put more tents there, or?
No. We're just really focusing on the Nusa Dua wedding market. So it's cliff top. Our competition there are the 5-star resorts, the Ungasan, the Six Senses, Ritz-Carlton is nearby, to give people an opportunity to have a high-end wedding. Yeah. But in a private setting. So you cannot buy out a hotel, a 5-star hotel, but you can easily buy out a venue like this and then just celebrate with your friends.
You're cheap.
Yeah. So inexpensive that's a different.
How much does it cost to rent the whole place for a wedding?
It's actually, you probably should say cheap and not inexpensive. It's really cheap. It's
affordable.
The entire to rent out the entire resort. Yeah. All the tents is just 6,000 euros, so 100 million IDR.
6,000 euros for one day for the whole resort?
The whole resort, yes.
And you are my slave for 24 hours?
Exactly.
Sign me in.
So yeah,
that's not expensive.
It is not expensive, yes.
And but then you add the food, you add a whole bunch of add-ons.
The venue hire fee to have the event and all that, but the upside is that, especially in European and North American culture, your friends pay for their hotel room when they come to your wedding. So you actually don't have to pay the 6,000 or the 100 million. You end up sending
so
booking
links
to your correct. You lock it and then
you get your money back.
And especially Australians, I mean, they all stay here. They pay individually. But they get their wedding and we do everything in-house. We have in-house planning, in-house catering, in-house, all lighting, sound, everything we can organize.
What's the published price for like a family room, for instance?
It's, I would say about 2.5.
High season.
High season, I would say 3 million rupiah.
So $200, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so $6,000, 50 tents, you can even mark up at your own wedding, yeah?
You technically could, yes. As long as you don't.
Let me get married. Okay, but you have weddings also that don't. They just rent the place, like our events just rent the place, like the grass area over there, the road. They don't rent the tents. I mean, yeah.
You need a minimum of, I think, 5 tents. And then we do have non-buyout weddings here, but the issue is then obviously because there will be other guests staying here. You can't party late, right? So there's noise restrictions, there's use restrictions. So I would say 90% of our weddings are buyouts. So,
Because last time when I came and I stayed in a tent over there was an event. It was Propertia anniversary or something. My friend Peter. The Propertia is a real estate agent.
I know him well. He's come here, I think, 3 times already. It's one of his favorite places
he
to
told
take
me,
the team.
I came here and I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, we're having a party. Okay.
And I think this is one of the strengths here. It's not just weddings, right? Like when you have an event like Propertia did, they're a very fit company. So because the owner is super fit. So they can use the wedding lawn not for celebration, but they use for workouts. They have the yoga shala. They can do yoga. Sure. They can go run on the beach. So you can really do. That's why we have a lot of.
They did a lot of drinking.
Yeah, there's also that, So work hard, play hard, right?
Yeah. And the one in Perth, quickly in a couple of sentences. So how big is it? When is it opening?
Such an exciting project. So the city of Perth it's the city of Mindarie, but it's in Perth, 20 minutes north, had one beachfront land left. And after It was an old caravan park, and after 20 years or so, they decided to put this up for bid.
Yeah.
There were 41 bids, and we were able to convince the city that this glamping concept will be really favorable for the city. And so it took, in Australia, everything takes a bit longer, just like in Europe, it takes a bit longer to get ready. But we are just in the process now. Groundbreaking has already happened.
Okay.
And so we are going to open in about 1 year. And it's almost exactly the same concept. It's the same type tents. It's the same type size. The restaurant's a bit bigger and enclosed because Perth gets really, really cold in June, July, August. But it's the same concept, just having weddings, probably mostly from all over Australia.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Okay. And so tents also coming from Escape Nomad?
Correct, yeah.
So Balinese company, so you're helping export the Balinese.
Some
Balinese talents.
They are already, they're very strong exporters to the Middle East and other parts in Asia. So,
and in Indonesia, there's quite many.
They're really,
a friend of mine
present on all the islands now.
Has a tent resort in Chandidasa. Called Bali Glamping. Yeah. So he bought his tent also. I stayed there, and he bought his tent from Escape Nomad too. All right, cool, interesting. Tell me some stories, some juicy stories. Give me a couple of like biggest hurdles that you encountered during the business, or the most crazy things that you've seen from guests or stuff like that.
I mean, biggest hurdle is unquestionably the pandemic, right? Nobody could have known that.
Oh, yeah.
Then the minute we broke ground, Wuhan announced it's going into lockdown. We just had to gulp and decide, you know what? We're self-funded. We don't know how long this is going to last. Let's go ahead with it.
Yeah.
So we built through the pandemic. We opened right at the time when finally Java was allowed to.
So you closed in February 2020, I guess. March.
We were building in February 2020. We opened in October 2020.
Oh, you opened in the pandemic. Right. Yes, I remember that.
And we were really Potato Head down the road. They stopped their construction, their new construction right during that time. And we were sort of wondering, why is everybody else stopping construction? You know, are they're much more experienced. We are not even hoteliers by trade. We just kind of fell into this opportunity.
You guys are frauds.
No, but I think it's at the end of the day, it's just like you make a decision and you stick with it, and you don't change lanes all the time. And then so what we did is basically probably the leanest pre-opening of any business ever heard of. We even used mostly staff from the villa next door because it was not operating at that time because there were no foreigners to come and stay at that nice villa. And so I think we had something like 5 or 6 full-time staff at the time of opening, and then we just kind of added as we saw fit, as we needed. And but also the one upside of this was that we ended up, like, from our management, we ended up getting like managers from Ayana, from Six Senses that would have never come to work for us if they wouldn't have been laid off during the pandemic. And they all stayed, They all stayed.
Wow.
So even though they have a obviously lower salary, they really like the work environment here. Tabanan is sort of like the heart of Bali.
Beautiful,
It's beautiful. It's there's most of the employees are from this area within a few hundred meters from here. That has the downside that they're very inexperienced, so that you need to do more training up front. But it has the upside that it's really like a big family.
So how many local employees do you have? I mean, local, I mean like from the area, or as opposed to imported
I would say
talents?
my guess would be 75% are within 500 meters or a kilometer from here.
Okay.
And only 25% are from...
How many employees total?
100.
100 employees. How many foreigners?
No employed foreigners. I'm one of the owners, managing director, And so we don't have any foreigners working here.
Only foreign guests. You take the money from foreigners and give it to the
No,
Robin
I mean
Hood.
I am always under I'm under the belief that you hire what you need, not where they're from. And here we have managed to do really well just working with Indonesians. So it's
there's a lot of great talents in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Okay. So, tell me the craziest guest story.
I wonder if I'm going to get in trouble with this one. Yeah, we did have the craziest story, I believe, was one, and obviously I cannot name anything would make them. But no, it was a wedding night gone wrong, so to say. So I received the video after one of the weddings of where the staff entered the room of the bride and the groom.
Why?
And it was completely destroyed. Huh? I mean, completely. Like we're talking about like rock stars destroying rooms in New York of thing. So there was almost nothing. Every lamp was broken.
Why?
There was so much. Like
but
all
they
the
were still
sheets.
there?
Well, they were having breakfast, but then they also profusely apologized and said they will pay for the damages. But
so they did it like they knew they did.
They knew they did it. We don't know what it was. What happened? We didn't ask. They paid for the damages, and also one of my friends. They were staying late here. One night when they had a birthday party, and they decided to break into the wine, the wine fridge here at the restaurant while the staff had already gone home.
Yeah.
But because they were drunk, they dropped 2 bottles of red wine. So coming here in the morning, seeing a sea of red, especially with this white Palimanan stone, and again, there was a immediate apology. They had already sent the apology through the night because they knew they were going to be in trouble, paid for the damages. So that's probably the two craziest stories, and it's normal, right? This resort is for events. And events means party, and party means people are drinking, and some people have drinking under control, and some people don't. And it's,
so how many drunk people try to go and swim?
It says clearly that they're not allowed to, and we have the pool here. So I would say we've never had any issue of people going to the ocean and being in trouble. So far we've been lucky. We haven't had any serious incidents of.
That's good. Okay. I would like to talk about Kedungu a little bit and the role of the glamping, Bali Beach glamping within Kedungu, and your views on where Kedungu is at, where did it come from, and where it's headed. So, could you tell me first how do you see? I mean, you've been living here for 4 years and working here for 4 years, so you've seen Kedungu change. So how has Kedungu evolved since you started this business? Since you started to come to Kedungu and hang around
a lot
here?
Because I came here the first time 6 or 7 years ago when Tim invited me to see Villa Vedas.
So Joshua District was already there?
Joshua District was already there, but really nothing else. There was just Joshua District, Villa Vedas. There were no other businesses here. There were a few local houses and a lot of rice field. So that's obviously grown a lot. And
the Chiputra Road was already built, right?
The Chiputra Road was already built. It was brand new. So it had just started.
But Chiputra invested like 10 years ago, maybe something like that?
About 10 years ago.
About 10 years ago,
started. Yeah. And so, I've seen the area grow and I've seen what's developed in Kedungu. And for us, so we live here. We live near here in Beraban. And for us, this is a big advantage because we love food. And before we had an option of 1 or 2 restaurants, and now we have an option of 10 or 15 restaurants. And I know there's like an organic food store that's coming. There's you're building an international school.
That's us.
And so all of these things are very, very important. We have a family. I have 2 young sons, and having to go to Canggu for everything is very inconvenient. So having all of these things here, there's plans of a supermarket here up the hill.
Yeah.
Yes. That's,
I didn't know about that.
That's through Ciputra. They're in plans of again, it's important. You build
like a Pepito,
build hundreds of something like that. You build hundreds of villas. People don't want to drive 15 to 20 minutes to go shopping, especially if you just need a few items. So having all those amenities will really help. And I also believe that the beach club will bring more people, a bigger variety of people to this area, and it will also be better known for its organized road system and master plan, right? Because Berawa, Seminyak, it's very, very difficult to find parking. It's difficult to get through traffic, and having this opportunity to come here and have it really with all the wide roads, ample parking, and very organized will be so much nicer for people that it will probably not be a one-time thing. They'll probably start realizing it. This is the future, Now there's time from here on out to pre-plan these beach areas to make it more comfortable for guests to come.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was the same thing in Perena, and I remember when we moved like 6 years ago, first people were saying, you guys are crazy, you're too far away, which is now a big joke. But there was hardly anything, there was 3 restaurants only. Front Cafe was now in Kedungu, and then a couple of restaurants on the beach. There was no facilities, there was no Pepito, there wasn't anything, so it was a bit complicated. It's always nicer to live in a place where you don't, like you say, you don't have to go back to Canggu, for some stuff, So, but I believe, with the school we're building, and we also have like a shopping plaza in the works, and I believe in, I would say 2 years, everything will be here, which means people won't need to get out of Kedungu for maybe, if you have to go to the hospital or something, but and even that we have a plan on that actually. Yeah. But won't need that much to get out of Kedungu the same way as today. You can stay in Perena and it's in Otarsi, basically. Yes. So you can stay there, live there 24/7, 365 days a year. And have everything
there
you
needs
need.
To be a cinema somewhere still. That's about the only reason to still go to Seminyak would be for the cinema. True. Every once in a while we want to go see a movie, and that's about the only time we go all the way out.
And a mall, you need a mall, like a little bit of a Zara or whatever, H&M or Uniqlo. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, okay, so tell me, what were the biggest challenge for Bali Beach Glamping to at the inception of, or even now? What is the biggest challenge of running this business in an area that is still like underdeveloped, kind of like we mentioned?
You can see that there isn't much, given the fact that I can't come up with something right away. So for me, my biggest challenge at the moment is just the new developments, because anything new takes time. I feel that I have to say I'm barely ever here. I would say I'm here, being the owner and managing director. I have an incredibly good GM and management team that I'm never really needed for advice. Yeah. It's very, very small. It's very small things that I have to deal with just operationally. So at this point, I have to say, the challenges that we had 2-3 years ago when it was really underdeveloped here, those have all gone away, right? Yeah. So
So what were they, like, for instance?
Well, like, it's like in any relationship, there were some initial struggles, communicating maybe with the Banjar or with the like convincing suppliers to come out here because we're far away. Yeah. And all of these issues have have gone away, right? We really now
So it's
with
more logistics than anything else.
yeah, really. We're not considered in the middle of nowhere anymore, right?
Sure, exactly. Yeah.
It's 10 minutes from Pererenan. That's a big.
Which was the middle of nowhere before.
Correct. If you told people 5 years ago, they would have said, "Yeah, so what? What is Pererenan?"
Yeah.
And now everybody knows. So that's really helped us. Plus, with this is a Bali Business Club discussion, but for me now, I'm really focusing on Indonesia. So Australia is handled by my business partner. We do have a project in Thailand, in Phuket, that we're trying to get off the ground, and another business partner is handling
Glamping
that.
as well.
That's Tim. So Russell's doing.
But glamping as well.
Yeah, glamping as well. So I'm responsible. There's a project in Lombok that we're working towards that looks pretty promising. There's a project in Balangan, Balangan Beach. And then the beach club. So I handle the developments in Indonesia, and my business partners the ones abroad.
So do you have a plan, like when do you stop?
I think by now the company is big and successful enough where we don't necessarily stop. It's just if we have too much on our hands, we add more people, and you know this.
I know.
You've started a few companies in Bali, and I think by now we wouldn't want to stop unless it's not fun or successful anymore, and it still is. So at this point, the international expansions they're to a certain extent plug and play, right? With the second resort has been operational only since June, and we already have over 50 weddings sold for next year.
Wow.
We've had already.
How do you sell them?
We have a good digital marketing team that gets the leads, and then
in-house or you outsource?
In-house.
In-house.
Yeah.
In Indonesia.
In Indonesia, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very, we have experience, right? Because Villa Vedas has been doing weddings for 6-7 years.
Right. Yeah.
So we've been building this up over time. This reputation too, right? Like Villa Vedas has an extremely good reputation of weddings. That made people. I mean, it is really sort of unbelievable. But we sold weddings in Perth, for example.
Yeah.
We just broke ground. We've already sold 2 weddings at breaking ground. So we did the same in Nusa Dua. We sold multiple weddings when we had just broken ground. So these people like book a wedding 1.5, 2 years before, and it takes 9 to 12 months to build. So yeah.
So you mentioned Banjar. So Banjar, for those who don't know what it is, the Banjar, Banjar, it's a Balinese concept. It's kind of like the town hall, the city hall. So you mentioned that. So I'm interested to know when you started and now, do you work hand in hand with the local official, with the Banjar or the Desa? Desa is higher up. What is the relationship you have with those people? Do you guys work together on a day-to-day basis? I mean, day-to-day, often, or how does it work?
Yeah, actually, I mean, most businesses don't have to or don't, but for a hotel in general, you tend to be quite involved with the Banjar.
Yeah.
But us particularly because of the weddings, even more so. So yes, we work with them daily because when you have 100 weddings a year, that's almost every third day, and so there's a Banjar fee.
Yeah.
So it's technically not paid by us; it's paid by the wedding couple because they want to have an event, and so that covers security, that covers parking, that covers support of.
So they bring like Pechalong.
Correct.
Like Pechalong
so
is
Pechalong is here.
Local guards.
It's a requirement, even if you have enough parking. It's a requirement that the wedding couple is not disturbed, and
absolutely.
And so we work with the Banjar all the time, and obviously when you have 70% of the people working from this bunjar,
Yeah.
then it's not a big bunjar, right? So it's everybody's uncle and son and so yeah. So
So they
we work
practically have a full-time job with you.
Correct,
Since you have like one wedding every 3 days.
With Bali Beach Glamping and with Villa Vedas, it's pretty much like
time,
there's
yeah.
almost every day there's something
happening, yeah.
And once you have at the beach club, it's probably more than once a day. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I wanted to chat about sustainability, environment. What does Bali Beach Glamping does for the nature and or the community?
So it's interesting because I own
CSR and such.
I own the sports events management company in America,
Yeah.
and I started this about 15 or 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Sustainability was not a word
Yeah.
that was used. Environmental protection was very, very in its infancy. And so what we did is we tried to eliminate all plastic. And when you have up to 2,000 runners in an event, it's difficult to do, but the results are enormous, right?
Sure.
If you can compost all your waste, if you have only paper cups, if people are required to bring their cup. So I did not do it for a business purpose to try to attract investors or to try to gain, more popularity. I just did it because I knew it was the right thing to do. And so when we started here, it was the same thing, right? We have we don't have plastic in the rooms. Everything is recyclable, compostable. We have a maggot farm, for all of our food, scraps. We have a maggot farm just outside of here. There's a piece of land outside, that creates the compost.
Okay.
The compost is used we grow grass, here because the wedding lawn takes a lot of beating for the grass. We grow it right outside. We then move it over. We don't have to import it from Java. We have a herb farm in the restaurant, inside the restaurant, with a UV light. We grow all our herbs here. We source the food locally, everything that we can. And so I'm not doing this because this helps with investors, or this has always been, I have a responsibility. I do things that bring a lot of people to events. Before it was sports, now it's weddings. And when you do that and you do it the right way, you can save so much garbage from being produced.
Yeah.
And then we do beach cleaning with.
So that beach, it looks pretty clean.
The beach is clean because
you clean it before I arrived.
We clean it every day. We clean it every day with my team.
So in the morning,
then we work with in the morning, and then we work with the Sungai Watch.
Yeah.
So they have a production facilities here. They make beach chairs out of the ocean plastic. So they collect the beach garbage that we collect here.
You have furniture here made by Sungai Watch?
No, we do not, because it doesn't fit into our wood design glamping thing. But we would just work with them to produce it. Yeah.
Okay. So during the rainy season, you have a lot of trash coming from the ocean?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes. But we have also the Sungai Watch.
So you don't have a river right away. Your first river is over there.
The Sungai Watch has the rings inside.
Okay.
As you know, you can, if you have massive storms, the plastic comes from other islands too. So it's not just from Bali. So.
Yeah, sure. Okay, interesting. All right. Well, thank you very much. Mm-hmm. I think anything you want to add?
No, that's it. It was a wonderful, wonderful morning and nice discussion. So,
well, thank you. It was great to have a chat with you. Thank you for coming on our podcast and letting us do the podcast in the Bali Beach Glamping.
Sure. Absolutely.
Thank you very much, guys, for listening and watching. So today was Roger Michel from Bali Beach Glamping. If you haven't subscribe here. I always say, do this. I don't know if it's here or there or whatever. Also, it depends if you're on Instagram, on YouTube, on all the other Spotify and whatnot. So subscribe somewhere. Leave a comment. If you have questions for Roger, you can leave a comment. I will make sure that Roger will answer in the comments as well. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Good to see you again.
Yeah. Thank you also.
Bye, guys.